What do you feel about people who use AI to improve their writing? I got this comment recently and it sent me into a spiral. I'm not talking about the fully generated AI slop that's clogging the internet's arteries today. I do not believe large language models as a technology will ever be capable of fully generating a novel worth reading, at least not without some serious human input. So I'm talking about writing assistants and editing tools, essentially feeding your poorly written pages into the machine and telling it to make it not suck. What's your knee-jerk reaction to that? Mine is a visceral disgust, because so much work goes into improving the craft of putting works together to tell a story. Literal thousands of hours of practice and study. If you're using a large language model to spruce up your shit paragraph and make it pretty, you are trying to cheat your way to great storytelling, spitting in the face of those who've been putting in the work all this time. It's the writing version of hair extensions and fake nails. That shit ain't yours. You're just pasting it on and pretending you earned it. I think that's the majority reaction because the effort spent on a project and the skill necessary to get it done properly counts toward its inherent value. But I'm here to make you think deeper about it and maybe spiral alongside me once you get past the knee-jerk and truly engage with this entire issue and you get into some specifics. It really isn't that simple. This video is sponsored by a generous grant donation by Michelle Obama. Thank you, Madam President, for bankrolling my hedonistic lifestyle. So I find it repugnant to cheat with a machine to make your prose better. And then I think about the delightful editor who looked at my shit paragraphs for free when I was starting out and enormously improved my storytelling, teaching me lessons I'd have never learned on my own. And is this really that much different? The machine can even tell you why some things got changed. It doesn't just correct you. It will often teach you why. The end result is really similar, only you're saving yourself the fee and the interpersonal hassle. And you're saying I can copy edit my whole novel for $0? Where's the downside? And we've been using automatic spell check and thesaurus and grammar tools for decades. I have said before I would have never written whole novels in old school longhand. It's too insanely inconvenient. I don't have the will and my writing would be way worse without constant, easy, accessible revision. The authors of yore would scoff at our modern tools, no doubt calling it not real writing. Is it really that different? To go that step further up the tech ladder and get something really similar to an instant editor you can contact at any time, maybe even a silent writing partner. Even full-on generation from an outline. Forget the scammers and the opportunists churning out garbage to swindle a few bucks. That's a plague we're stuck with, like obnoxious ads and spam calls. There's legitimate people out there who burn with the desire to tell a story and lack the talent to do so. The typical person who would pitch their novel idea to their friends, but never do anything about it, or at the very most hire a ghostwriter to see it done if they have the money. It's like a politician getting a ghostwriter, and don't pretend for even a second you've ever given a crap about that. Now, the wannabe storytellers can plug their ideas into the machine and pretty much get what they want. Who the fuck am I to tell them they shouldn't be doing that? Oh no, you have to put in the 2 decades of work like I have. It was my choice to put in 2 decades of work. I don't regret a single minute. I love the process from start to end and I'm really proud of what I can put down on the page all on my own. That doesn't make me entitled to other people's time and effort. But certainly thinking about all this has given me some real insight into the mind of people screeching online non-stop about AI art, or gen art as I would rather call it, because that feeling of wounded pride is there, there's no denying it. For me, writing is a passion, drawing is a hobby, and editing videos can be fun, but it's mostly a chore. But they have the same passion for drawing as I have for writing, and take these generated images as a slap in the face of all their efforts to get better, and the triple and quadruple digit number of hours they've spent getting as good as they can be, only to get outdone by a 5-minute prompt. I certainly find the outrage legitimate when people outright lie and claim to have personally drawn something they generated. But the differences are becoming so hard to notice, the number of false positives keeps climbing, and the screeching brigades will froth at the mouth with false accusations, and it all becomes really, really stupid and unhinged. My good buddy, you're trying to close Pandora's box. It's time to find something better to do with your time. But how about the proven professional with a rock-solid track record, who now turns to Gen Art as a time-saving tool for their many projects? They have done it all, they've got nothing to prove, they simply want to get their project done in less time, because time is money in a very real sense for these guys, and they are so good at what they do, you will never notice that they cut a bunch of corners. Safely assume at least one of the professional artists you love are generating images to make their lives easier. And how about the people who have these entire graphic novels in their head but have nowhere near the talent necessary to produce them? Before, they would have to spend a ton of money to hire the people that can do it, go into some big business venture super risky, or work on a pitch for a studio, or whatever the hell old way of getting things done. More power to Mr. Moist to be able to afford it, but not everyone has Godslap or Skynet levels of cash to commission their projects into production. But we are at a point where the wannabes will be able to generate their graphic novel without any of those massive roadblocks of the past. Should they restrain themselves because they, Summer Meadows, will make a really angry post on Blue Sky? Who are you to gatekeep them out of producing their product? The entirety of your choice is whether you consume it or not. I have used some Gen Art myself as a goof for UFO 50 thumbnails because it gave me a chuckle, the contrast between the super fancy plastic AI graphics and the lo-fi 8-bit gameplay inside, like the old school bait and switch box art these types of games used to have. Nearly every single video with one of those thumbnails would have someone come in and act like I'd murdered a hobo on camera, not getting the joke or not caring it was a joke. And they would have a problem with it even after I explained. And you know what? Although the unhinged vitriol isn't warranted, I really can't even blame them, because I too find obvious low-effort generated thumbnails outright repugnant. There's something so ugly and unnatural about them that triggers my uncanny valley response every time. It still takes some effort to generate something pleasant to look at. Of course, the number one reason why there's so much hatred for the AI revolution is the catastrophic loss of creative jobs. But my good friend, that ship has long sailed. In fact, that ship hit the bottom of the ocean the moment the technology became viable. Producing quality art in the traditional way is enormously expensive for companies, so of course they would flock to an alternative that promises to be good enough, or even better in some cases, for a tiny fraction of the price. Like so many other industries before this, the market will split, with cookie-cutter industrial output dominating, while the artisanal handcrafts corner their ever-shrinking, ever more cutthroat niche market, where falling short of excellence will get you absolutely nowhere. It's a harsh, unfair reality, but that's reality nonetheless, and there's literally nothing you or I can do about it, other than create the demand for handcrafts ourselves. Your screams will join the scores of people in history who cried about the assembly lines, the combustion engine, the printing press, the loom, and all those etceteras. By the way, pour one out for all those software engineers and computer science majors who can claim none of our fart-sniffing moral high ground in this battle for the soul of humanity. Because who gives a crap where those lines of code come from? Just give me something that compiles. If you're looking for a real, total collapse of an industry, ask any code monkey how their job hunt is going. The number 2 reason for unhinged hatred is the way these eldritch entities are trained, feeding petabytes of human-produced data into them without the slightest consent. And it does make me feel some kind of way, but when was the last time you asked consent to get inspiration from Pinterest or use an image as a reference? I sure never asked Patrick Rothfuss his consent before I modeled my writing style after his when I was starting out, and isn't it consistent advice from writers that if you want to get better, you need to read as much as you can? As far as I understand it, the way current generation AI is trained is enormously similar to these, especially image generation. It's only being done at an industrial scale. I don't know enough about it though, so I will concede this point if you have a good counter-argument. But let's say you have proven yourself as a writer. Double-digit number of novels beloved by readers, the whole shebang. Is it really that awful to feed your own writing into the machine so it can flesh out your outlines with your own writing that you then refine as needed, so you can get these enormous multi-year projects done faster because you have all these damn stories inside you burning to be told and you don't have enough time? You don't understand. I must get them out before I die. AI-assisted writing is here. It is unstoppable, and people advocating for bans and restrictive laws might as well be trying to stop a hurricane by biting at the wind. The profit margin increase is too damn high for your voice to matter. And what's more, you will undoubtedly consume it whether you want to or not, and you will never know, because it truly is that good at putting words together with a certain flair. It is extremely likely one of your favorite authors or one of his or her editors has already used a large language model to save themselves some time and effort, and you will never know. In this poll of 1,200 authors, about 30% of them use AI for more than just proofreading. Of those that have used AI, 75% of them do not disclose it. Why would they, when they will be lynched by the frothing online masses? They view ChatGPT as a silent writing partner. What exactly do you do when it's entirely undetectable and they simply lie to you? And the thing is, if it saves time and effort, and it's indistinguishable from the real thing, and you will never know the difference, isn't it something you want? I recently finished the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. Holy crap, is that man allergic to happy endings? Imagine he puts out his newest trilogy and it's just as good. Excellent prose, plot twists that delight and horrify you, all the bells and whistles. Another absolute banger of an experience to read this work. And then he discloses after the last page that he used AI to save himself a ton of time composing the prose. The level of quality, the voice, and the tone, it's all the same. You loved it. But he can now do it all in a quarter of the time. Now, when you look back at this wonderful piece of fiction you just read, is it now tainted? It is, isn't it? But why? Maybe you're just conditioned to feel this way. Here's the same example in the world of animation. Imagine Studio Ghibli starts putting out movies every 6 months instead of every decade or however long they take with their movies, and their animation quality is not diminished in the slightest. You get the same heartfelt, beautiful stories, beautifully told, but using AI to dramatically speed up their process. The end result is many, many more wondrous pieces of art, indistinguishable from the real thing. They didn't fire a single animator, it's just feasible now to do it all so much faster. Is the value of that entertainment diminished because they simply changed their workflow? What if they never reveal they're using AI at all, and you go on to your grave believing those incredible works of art were fully man-made? Is their value diminished in any way? What if they reveal all their movies were made with AI generation, Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke, some really advanced prompts and good editing that reached into your chest and touched your soul? Is the experience diminished after the fact? I'm going so deep with this question because I consider it the crux of the argument. For all of human history, it's been a truth of culture that good art takes a lot of effort. And when you churn it out, the quality suffers. But what if it didn't suffer? What if this is a whole paradigm shift and an excellent art worth your time no longer requires an inordinate amount of effort? Is the effort required an intrinsic part of artistic value? Being fast at your job without compromising quality is a huge virtue in any other field. Why not in this one? So that's the question. Should good art take a lot of effort? If the reason to say yes is that it has always been that way, that reason just doesn't cut it. Maybe it's time to separate artistic merit and entertainment value entirely. Maybe it's okay to enjoy a piece of art exclusively for its entertainment value, while still recognizing artistic merit in the art pieces that pride themselves in it. A work that boasts both will always be superior in my eyes, but that doesn't necessarily mean a low-effort, high-entertainment work has no value whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, if a piece of art is capable of touching your soul, maybe it has a soul of its own, no matter where it came from. And then, after I had worked all this out and I had convinced myself of how unreasonable it is to reject this whole new world, I witnessed a prolific author I respect admit they use AI to write some of their stuff, claiming how not to use it is to cripple yourself because it's really that good, indistinguishable from his actual writing. And I felt okay with that. Then, without shame, he showed it. A generated paragraph from his outline, and it really was right there on the screen, competent and indistinguishable. As I absorbed this information, as I understood what he had done, I felt like I had just watched a man willingly feed his soul to a demon. And I realized I had it right from the start. I think I'd sooner die with my soul intact, even if, when the time comes, it yet burns with stories untold. At least then, they will still be mine.